call me crazy. I'm into albums. It's also, they're more expensive than people think to make a good album. And, it sucks that they're kind of for free at this point. Although I did press, I actually have it laying right here. I pressed vinyl of the new record.
Oh, wow.
That's the
That's
cover.
awesome. That's such a
Yeah.
rad cover.
Oh, thanks, dude. So that's the Invisible Line. I have a couple. I just got copies in the mail, but
Bringin It Backwards.
Hey, what's up, Aaron? How are you, man?
what's up, dude?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm super excited to have you on again.
Yeah, me too. I think it's been I don't know, at least 2 years since we talked or something, right?
Yeah, I think last time it was with Lifer.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. So it was the first time it was just you with Earshot, I think. I want to say.
Yep,
And
that's
then
right.
Lifer, maybe Nick was on with you, believe. Does
Cool.
that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
always doing something. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, you got so much going on all the time. Well, again, I appreciate you doing it again. So you kind of know what the drill. We talk about you and your journey in music, and um, you said you have a new album.
Yep. My new record's called The Invisible Line, and that'll be out, I think, in September. I'm going to release, what the kids call, I guess, drip it out. I don't know.
I'm excited, dude. Yeah, the most recent one that you put out was "I Won't Back Down." Is that the newest one?
Yeah, that was just a Tom Petty cover that I did. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool and just kind of put out something familiar, just to kind of stir the waters for my songs that'll come out later. Um, I know that's a song that's been done a million times, but I kind of put my own spin on it. It's a little bit different than you
No,
think.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a really rad version of the song.
Oh, thanks, dude. Um, yeah, and then after I recorded that, I had seen that there was a country compilation coming out of all his songs. And I was like, man. So that was kind of bad timing. But I put out my
You
song.
beat him to it, right?
No, I think theirs came out first.
Oh, theirs just came out first. Oh,
Yeah.
no worries.
I had recorded that, and then I saw in the news that was coming out. I was like, but I mean, it has been covered before. And like I said, all the versions I heard were very like to the T, just straight up exactly like his. And I was like, I didn't see the point in trying to replicate something that was already great the way it was the first time. So
Mhm.
I made mine different.
Love it, love it. Well, I guess for the people that haven't, they should go back and watch the first two interviews, Lifer and Earshot, to get your deep
Yeah.
dive into it. But we'll just recap a little bit and kind of pick up where we, left off with what's been going on since last interview with Lifer. I think you had an album out at the time.
In that
What
band,
were
we
you guys
just put,
doing?
yeah, we put out consecutive singles. We never made a full length record. So that band, as it is today, we put out a record in 2001, and then 2020 ish, we put out like 5 singles in a row. So
Okay,
we,
that's what it was. Yeah, maybe it was "Hate Me, Love Me." I think maybe it was the single at the time. I can't remember.
yeah. So right. So where we stand with that, it was 1 album and 5 singles. So
Okay.
yeah.
Right on.
Thanks a
So,
lot.
originally, tell me again, where are you originally born and raised?
Right. I was born in New York State, upstate, but I moved to Pennsylvania in the early 80s and have lived here ever since.
Okay, yeah, I thought you still were there.
Yeah, yeah. Where are you at right now? You're in Nashville?
Nashville, yeah. First time I talked to you, I was in San Diego, and then we moved to
Right.
Nashville. Yeah, so
Cool.
the last time we spoke, I had been in, yeah, we had moved to Nashville maybe like a year, and then now obviously still here. I love it in Nashville. Great.
Yeah. I was just down there about 2 weeks ago. I went down to a little town called Hendersonville.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just that's like thinking north of Nashville, maybe.
Yeah. So I finished up some tracks for the new Earshot record. So I was down in
Oh,
Nashville.
rad. So you guys recorded in Nashville area?
We did half of it in Florida, and then we finished up in Nashville.
Awesome, man. That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
So you're still in Pennsylvania, and that's kind of where, I mean, that's where Lifer started, right? And that was kind of was that the first band, and then you eventually joined Breaking Benjamin like years later, right? And or
um,
were you in Breaking?
so Breaking Benjamin came first, actually, and but the first incarnation of it didn't last very long, and that was in the late '90s, and then we kind of became Strangers with Candy, which became Lifer, and
Oh,
then
sure. Okay.
I went back to Breaking Benjamin. So it was kind of a a complicated, convoluted mix there of a lot of the same guys in the same area, and kind of stirring it up.
Yeah.
And then Breaking Benjamin obviously hit really big, so that took off, and that started a whole series of
Yeah.
other.
Probably changed your life quite a bit
It did,
quite the
yeah,
course for a while. Yeah.
yeah,
So okay, so just because we've already kind of went over all these things before in the other interviews, let's pick up then with you released a single with Lifer in like 2020 or 2022, I think 2021, 2022 when that
yeah.
came out. And then, from there, when do you start working on this album, your solo stuff? Like when you have so many things going on. It sounds like you just recorded an Earshot record. I mean, you have a lot to
Yeah.
kind of going on here.
So I'm always working. I do, I never counted it, but I'm sure I put in about 40 hours a week as like one would with a, regular job. So I'm always writing. I'm not always writing. Actually, it's funny. I think about it. I go through, I usually always write in the winter. I don't know why. I guess in Pennsylvania, there's just a lot of like indoor time, and that seems to be when I create a lot of stuff. And then, so this past winter, I wrote most of these songs coming up. That'll be coming up on the Invisible Line record, but and then I recorded them in January and February in a studio in the Poconos, which people kind of know Pennsylvania for, the mountains. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then Earshot was written and recorded last summer, so that album's taken forever to kind of get done. So, but that's kind of been in the can, so to speak, at least creatively, for well over a year. But I am writing a lot and recording with different things, and keeping busy. I'd like to play more shows, but and tour some more, but it's just it's tough these days to get that going, and it's really, it's not the same as it was. It's a lot harder.
With
Yeah.
Lifer, like, is that you? I mean, you said you put one album out, but then have 5 singles or so.
Yeah.
Is that band more like you guys just kind of get together when you feel like? Is that more of just get together when you can type deal, and then you focus more on your shot and obviously what you're doing with your solo stuff? Or
Yeah. I mean, we broke up obviously there for a long time, like, at least 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
And then we got back together, and then the pandemic happened. So that kind of made things very odd. And then Nick Singer went, to say the least. So Nick, the singer of Lifer, was in the band Cold for a while.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
he was touring with that. Actually, the drummer of Lifer is also in Cold. So two of those guys from Lifer went to Cold.
I think the bassist of Cold has been on my show before.
Oh, cool.
She's the female, correct? I forgot her. Yeah. I've had her on.
Yeah. So that put kind of Lifer on ice for a while. And then I started getting back into my solo stuff. So, like, we're not broken up. We're just kind of on ice for a minute while everybody's pursuing other things, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And then you did, yeah, Earshot obviously has just kind of been something that's continued on.
Yeah, I do that whenever, duty calls. That's kind of a strange setup. We all live in different states. And so it's not like a thing where we're hardly ever in the same room together. So um, I do that when, you know, when I'm asked to, basically. But
Okay.
so the thing that I focus on the most is my solo stuff, and I do that, and I gig around, gig and make records and have practices, and so that's the main thing that I'm doing these days.
Okay. Yeah, because you put out Dear Universe two,
You're-
2 years ago, but that was even before that was after we had talked. So you hadn't even put that album out yet.
Yeah, so we missed an album cycle.
Yeah. So okay, so I mean, well, I guess yeah. Just tell me about going into. I mean, you've been putting out albums under your own solo stuff for a long time, right? I mean, for
Yeah.
years. You've had like what's going to be like your fifth album, I think, right?
I think it's the sixth.
Sixth album.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 albums under your belt, under yeah, under your solo stuff. Like,
I would have loosely have plans to make 10, a la Quentin Tarantino.
uh, okay.
I
But
really,
then what? You're gonna just what change it to something else?
well, I saw an interview with him, and he gave this great interview, and he said he's going to make 10 movies, and I was like, that's fucking genius. So like, I'm at 6, so I loosely have plans to make 10, so 4 more coming.
Love
But
it.
yeah, so Dear Universe came out. I think that came out in 2022.
Mhm.
And I'm really proud of that record. So that was my kind of return to slightly heavier, slightly more produced music. I got into a vibe there um, where I was making more roots rock type stuff and less like very raw sounding records. And so now with Dear Universe and the Invisible Line, they're a little bit heavier, which
Mhm.
I know people know me for. Nothing crazy, not like stuff I'm hearing younger people put out. Like crazy heavy to me. It's like so, it's more like I guess dad rock, but
When it comes to like writing, like you said, with Earshot, you all live in different states. Like, are you writing with those? I mean, for that band as well, alongside of your solo stuff, or is it totally different? Like, you're just mainly when you sit down and write, is it basically you're trying to usually write for your own project?
um, it's a good question. I think when I write, so when I'm working with Earshot, I'm writing the music.
Right.
I'm not writing the lyrics or the melody. Um, so it's mostly with Lifer. Every now and then I write lyrics with Lifer. But so with those two bands, that's more of like when I'm doing straight up riffs or verse beds or chorus beds. I usually ship them out to either Lifer or Earshot because I know I'm not the singer in those bands or the lyricist. So I'm like, this is a great music bed. I'll let Will or Nick sing over it and do their thing. When I have like song titles or lyrics going or melodies, I usually lean towards, well, that's going to be one of my songs because I have a clear finished version for the tunes. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to sing this one. So, I feel very strongly about the lyrics because they're personal, or
Sure.
so they get reserved for my thing.
So when you write songs for yourself, does it start with the lyric or with the melody that you come up with instead of like maybe sitting down and you're like, oh, this is a pretty rockin' riff, or this is a cool, like, this would make a cool chorus. Let me
Um,
give it to those two bands. Or sometimes are you like, this is a pretty rockin' riff, and you have a melody in your head, and you kind of just write along to it then that way?
Yeah, I mean, it differs. I mean, usually, I mean, I'm sure you've heard other artists say that usually the best songs are the ones you write in like 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
they seem to all fall in place. Those seem to be the songs that stand the test of time for me. I notice the songs I labor over and I'm like, oh, I can't finish this, or this part isn't right, or they're kind of like a Frankenstein piece of the part of a song and a part of a song and a riff from here, and you glue them together. Those seem to be, for whatever reasons, the songs that don't stand the test of time for me. Um, so, but I have riffs laying around, and I stockpile stuff, and I'll have just a riff and I'll be like, oh, it's kind of unfinished. Or usually with me, or maybe heavier riffs go to Earshot or Lifer because they're heavier bands. And
Mhm.
my stuff is a little bit more straight up rock and roll. It's not like
Sure.
heavy music. So like maybe the big crunchier stuff goes to those projects. But a lot of times with my stuff, I strangely start with just a song title. So I have like on my phone, I just think of song titles. I have like 200 song titles sitting there. Um, and then, so that's lyrically a lot where I'll start with just the title. And
Mhm.
then, but yeah, it's weird. Like I said, I go through periods. Like I wrote most of the Invisible Line. In November and December last year, and they just kind of, I'll really get hyper focused on like, all right, I'm in a songwriting zone, and all my creative processes are done in the morning over a cup of coffee. I'm not
Interesting.
I'm not a late night guy. I'm not a chemically induced guy. It's so boring. I'm like stone sober, 9 in the morning, fired up, cup of coffee. Like I know it's not very rock and roll sounding, but that's just the way I work. I
But
get,
usually those are the best songs, to be
I
honest. I mean,
know,
I'm stone sober too, but you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I feel like once people start to use like a crutch, like, oh, I need to be like really stoned and then the vibe, it's like it probably doesn't work
yeah,
out as
yeah.
well.
For me, that's not the way. I'm pretty. I was fortunate. I came from a creative family. My dad's a writer. My sister's a painter, and the arts were always encouraged in our household. And we kind of like, you know, some families would go to like Walt Disney World. We went to like a museum, so it was like pretty boring.
That's
But
so rad.
so like
I wish I
create.
could convince my kids to do that
I know,
instead
right?
of
Well, it was a
to go
different
to
era.
Disneyland.
I know
Right.
it was a different era. There was no phones to stare at, but I think my point was like creativity was always encouraged and um, in my family. So like I think I'm just kind of maybe hardwired in that department. So, um, I look like a guy that smokes weed all day, but actually I don't smoke weed at all. And I don't, um, so I don't need like, I'm not saying I'm not against any of that stuff. I'm just saying I don't use that stuff to kind of find my creativity. I
Sure.
feel like life and situations and events and getting older, and I don't even being a father or this and that are the kind of things that inspire me to write. And I don't really need to break out the psychedelics to get weird. I can kind of get weird on my own. So if that
Get
makes
weird on your own.
sense.
Do you do like I know like a lot of artists talk about the artist way, that book, or they talk about morning pages and getting up and writing. Like, is that part of your routine at all? Like, you get up and just start like brain dumping just everything, or is it you kind of know
Right,
you're going to focus on writing something?
right. I've heard a lot of like Nashville style songwriters say they write every day no matter what, and
Hmm.
they have like a schedule. I'm not like that. If something comes to me, I'll hopefully can set aside some time in my day to focus on it. If something comes to me and I'm like, oh, I'll never remember that, I just record it on my phone, a cappella, or if there's a guitar laying around. But I'm not strict about it. It's just, if when it comes to me, it comes to me. But I don't make it it's not like going to the gym or something for me. It's not like we're doing this Monday at 9. So if it comes to me, it comes to me.
If it comes, it comes.
Yeah.
With I mean, I love the fact you put out all albums, and then you're like, I'm going to do 10. Instead of the new thing with you do a single and put it out, and you got it's space, and then we're going to release 5 total, and then it just all is now this EP or whatever. Like when you write, like for this new album or even Dear Universe, like do you have a through line that you kind of start to see, and then you start like, okay, I know this is going to be kind of the concept of the album. I mean, not saying that it is a concept album, but most albums have some sort of through line in place. Like,
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't think that I've made a concept album yet, although for the next one, I do have a theme in mind. I think so. I write a lot, and I have quite a few songs stockpiled. I think I kind of get into a zone. So I am still an album mentality guy. It's probably because of my age. I just personally think albums are cooler.
I agree.
If you looked back and you were like, remember when Pearl Jam released that song Alive? I just don't think it has the same ring to it or the nostalgia quality of remember when they released that album 10.
Right. And I also feel like it's not the longevity isn't there either. You're not going to be like,
yeah,
oh, I like this. I mean, obviously music is changing and everything's changing and everyone's so like quick. But like to be a band like Pearl Jam, those are the bands that are going to stand the test of time because they have a full album of songs that people like every song.
I think so. I think so. And like, it's been brought to my attention by more business-minded people of like, just release a song at a time. And I'm just like, I hear you, and I know that's what everybody else does, but it's just not what I strive to do. I mean, I would be interested in doing an EP, but just a song. I also, again, I just write so much. I'm like, well, I might as well just put them out, even if, maybe say the 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th song aren't as strong as the other. It still felt at the time some sort of snapshot of where my head was at and what I was doing and what I was into at the moment. So, and again, coming back to maybe Tarantino and movies, I'm a huge film buff, and I wouldn't want to see just a scene of Reservoir Dogs. I want to see the whole movie. So like that's where his head was at the time, and that's his snapshot. So I don't know, call me crazy. I'm into albums. It's also, it's more expensive than people think to make a good album. And, it sucks that they're kind of for free at this point. Although I did press, I actually have it laying right here. I pressed vinyl of the new record.
Oh, wow.
That's the cover.
That's awesome. That's such a rad cover.
Oh, thanks, dude. So that's the Invisible Line. I have a couple. I just got copies in the mail, but so I did press vinyl of that. So hopefully I can make a buck or two, but because it's just so damn expensive to make records. So I still go to studios and I still hire guys, and I'm not like I'm DIY in the sense that I'm not on a big label, but I'm not DIY like in the sense that I'm going to do it all in my basement and on the cheap. I still, do it up a little bit. So it's hard to make a buck on the back end, but I don't know. I'm rambling here, but
no. So like with that, I mean, when you write a bunch of songs, or you kind
Yeah.
of start seeing like, oh, this I think this could be an album, or these are all kind of or you could lay them out in a way where it would sound like an album, or once you get to that point, are you
Yeah.
recording a lot of just the demos at your house by yourself,
Yes.
or and is it are you recording everything yourself?
Yes. Um, so I have a little studio set up here at the house, and I
I think you
actually
were in your studio one of the times I talked to you.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm actually pretty damn fluent in all the basic rock instruments. I've been playing drums as long as I've been playing guitar.
I remember that was like one of your first instruments, right? Or was that your first
Yeah.
instrument?
And my music isn't incredibly complicated on the drums, so I can play all my own songs just fine. And I write, I play bass, guitar, piano, sing obviously. So I get all my ideas I can flesh out all by myself, and it's kind of a lonely process, but there is a beauty to it, and like it is satisfying to some degree. So like
Mhm.
if I'm like, oh, this song should have this drum beat, I go out and I record it and I make it happen. And then lately I've been farming that out to like, at least in the drum department, I'm like, well, I think there's a guy that could probably play this a little bit better than me. So let's do
So
that.
they have the idea, but you give them it's not like you just send the parts that don't have drums and say
Yeah.
write your own part to it.
Right. So, going back to movies, basically I write the whole script and then I have actors come in and bring it to life and make it better than it would have been just on paper, if that makes any
Got
sense.
it. Yeah, yeah. So do you utilize like a producer in the sense of like helping you try to enhance the song or
Um so
in that
so
way,
this
I guess? Like
yeah,
throw out
so
other ideas or no?
yeah, I pretty much produced The Invisible Line and Dear Universe. I had great studio owner engineer guys that really helped it come to life. But as far as like overseeing all the creative process and stuff, I do that for better or for worse. But I'm kind of good at seeing where this should go here and this should go here and the overall picture. And I've been doing this for a long. I made a lot of records, so like,
Yeah.
like I know a thing or two about a thing or two at this point. And
Right.
so um, now it would be cool to do an album where I don't flesh everything out beforehand and maybe just have sketches. And I would be curious to give someone else like total creative license with it. And just have like, I got the lyrics, the melody, and just the guitar, and like let someone else maybe fill in all the blanks. I would be open to that. It just hasn't happened that way yet.
Do you have
Again,
like a producer in mind that you would want, or is it like you have no
no,
idea?
I don't know. It'd be, it would take some trust.
I
Just
was gonna say, yeah, you have to give up a
yeah,
lot of control on that end, right?
yeah. So I'm open to that. I don't, it hasn't happened, but again, too, it's like, well, I can play the drums, so like I'll just write the drum part. So like
Right. You're like,
that's
my
why.
name's on the album. it's,
Yeah, I
it's your
mean,
project, right?
it's not like an ego thing. It's just like, well, I'll just play the drum beat I'm hearing on this. So um, again, I think if I didn't have that skill set, if I was just someone that kind of strummed the guitar or whatever, I might just have, I hear artists, newer artists, even like pop songs where I can tell someone just had chords and a lyric or something, and then a producer made it with all this fancy shit underneath of it. So I
Mhm.
I hear how music is made that way, where a producer takes a basic idea and puts all this crazy, effects on it and stuff like that. But my music's a little bit more like straight up rock and roll. So, um,
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I mean, because obviously a producer will then have their thumbprint on it in a way. Like, I mean, if you heard a certain producer,
yeah,
and you listen to whether it's they wrote a song for X, Y, or Z artist, they all kind of have their own vibe underlined in all
yeah,
those songs, right? You know what I mean? So it almost like with this being your solo stuff and your ideas, and it all is just okay. This is what I want it to sound like, and this is what it's going to sound like. There's no, it's not a band setting in a way, right? It's just you.
right. Um, Again, I would be curious to make an album like that where I didn't overthink it to death, and I just had the chords and the melody and the lyrics. And I would be interested to make an album that way. I just haven't yet.
Okay. Well,
Um,
with this new album, like, kind of tell me about like what it's. Is there like a kind of through line not a concept album, but like is there like what is
right.
the album about, and like kind of
Um,
just
yeah, so it's a little bit heavier, a little bit, nothing crazy, but it just has a little bit more of an edge. And, the guitars are a little detuned and kind of heavier. Because I know, obviously I'm quite aware that people mostly know me as the guy from Breaking Benjamin. Um, so, there was a part of me that for a while there that was like, well, I'm not in that band anymore. And if I have to kind of forge my own path now going forward. But in recent years, I've come back full circle, and I really appreciate the fact that I was the guy in that band.
Mhm.
And I'm embracing that a lot more than I used to. And um, for all the right reasons and at the right time, I'm giving into that and making music that sounds a little bit more aligned um, with that music, and that I think fans would appreciate more, and it wouldn't be such a shift, because I made some records before that were very different than Breaking Benjamin, and it was a little bit, I don't think that I'm interested in like drawing people back into my music and what I'm doing, and have the career make more sense overall. um I don't know if that makes any sense, but uh,
yeah.
I'm just kind of getting back into my heavier roots. And so that's one theme with this record. um what else? There's a couple songs, they're a little bit more, there's a couple, like, I would, for lack of a better term, like love songs, um heavier love songs, on this record, because I got married last year, and so that was like a big, obviously a huge change in my life.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So that was like a whole mental shift in my lifestyle and way of thinking, and there was a lot of like good things going on when I wrote these songs. So a little of that is definitely sprinkled in to this
Mhm.
record. So that's interesting. So they're love songs, but they're like heavy. So
I love it. That's
yeah.
amazing. Are you gonna do you talk I mean you have a vinyl out, are you gonna tour on it? You talked a little bit about how touring
Um
is
yeah,
harder
so it's
nowadays.
dude, that's so much easier said than done. Um yeah, I don't even know where to start with that. So like the idea of just like getting a tour bus and showing up at clubs and having people there is almost impossible. It's unbelievably hard to make that happen. It's I wish I could say otherwise, but uh, I could go out in a van and trailer and go and play clubs and have, you know, 50 people there. But dude, at my age, that is a hard lifestyle and a real uphill battle. So from my era, the way that you toured successfully is to be on the radio, and then you generated some sort of prior excitement to the band coming to town. To be on the radio, terrestrial radio, which I still listen to. I still, in my car all the time, have terrestrial radio on. So
that's where I came from before I started.
Yeah.
So I was on it for like 15 years, and it's sad to see it where it is. But
so to be on terrestrial radio, you have to be on a major label, and I'm not obviously on a major label. So there's so many roadblocks, and it's, you know, I don't have a viral video or whatever. I'm not like a young pop star or anything of that nature. So it's tough. Again, I think I could go out and do a really shitty tour for not the quality of the music or my performances, but like the lifestyle.
Playing smaller shows. Yeah.
Yes. Like
not even that, but just roughing it. Probably you'd have to rough it a bit more than you.
Yes, to rough it. And, you know, so I'm not opposed to that. It's just really hard to put together. And then the other thing is, you know, I don't have a day job. So it's easier for me to be like, all right, screw it. I'm going to go out in November and I'm going to book a string of shows across the US and get a van and trailer and go out and do it. Now, the very next step, which makes it infinitely harder, is, well, who are your 3 other guys going to be? Who are these 3 guys that don't have day jobs or don't have kids and can just do that and go out and kind of make my dream happen? So that's right away, it gets really tough of who are the other guys?
Right.
And who are the guys that are going to go out and make it happen for you? And you're maybe not going to pay them a huge salary or something. So again, you know, I might be able to do a little acoustic tour and play, you know, smaller places and not have a bunch of gear and not have a sound guy, not have a merch person. You know, the list goes on and on and on. So that's the really hard part of my business for me these days, is getting a tour together. The easier part is I can write songs by myself and play all instruments. That's the easy part. It's the touring part and I still do want to tour. I'm not like, you know, I'm too old for that. I'm just going to watch TV tonight. Like, I still want to do it. I just haven't had the opportunities, to come my way. You know, I haven't had the right management in place or the booking agents to make it all happen, or to get like an opening slot on, you know, a bigger band's tour. But again, so I'm going on and on about all the negatives, but there are quite a few negatives. I wish it wasn't so.
Right. I mean, you're 100% right, though. You have to hire a band, right? It's not like you can't go up there and play drums, guitar, bass, sing,
Right.
all at the same time.
Right.
You're gonna have to hire guys.
So I have, right. So with my solo stuff, there's one main guy who's always with me every time. His name's John Novak. And he's a great friend and a great musician. So he's been my mainstay guy. But it's just hard. Again, it's hard to lock in 4 guys and who I think maybe if, you know, especially around my age, a lot, you know, almost everyone's married and has kids and the day job and stuff. So it gets more complicated as you get older. When we were all like 23, nobody was married or had kids. And we also, like, there was a lot more of the spirit of like, fuck it, let's go on a tour and let's live in a van and sleep on a floor somewhere. But like, it's hard to get psyched up for that at this age.
I can imagine. Like, I'm thinking about it. I'm always like, I don't think I could hack that. You know what I mean? Like, that's rough. to
And
do
again,
that.
yeah, and again, when you're in a band, when you're younger, there's a little bit more of like, oh, we're in a gang and we're bros, and let's all sacrifice to make it happen and make the dream happen. And then now, like when I'm a little bit more, I'm doing like the solo thing, it's like, well, who do you find that's going to make the dream happen for you? So it's a little bit weirder in that regard. I'm finding out, you know, I
Yeah.
think this record's really, this is the best, in my opinion. The Invisible Line is the best of the bunch so far. So I'm hoping that, some more people latch on to what I'm doing and start getting it. I'm
I mean,
hoping.
I love what you're doing. I think
Oh, thanks,
all
dude.
your records are awesome, and
Thanks, man.
I haven't
So
heard the new one, but I do like the "I Won't Back Down" and obviously the Dear
yeah,
Universe album.
yeah, yeah. When we hang up, I'll email you the new
Awesome.
single that's coming out next week.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
but so I'm really proud of this. And
Would you consider doing an acoustic tour, like just yourself, or do you feel like it wouldn't bring justice to the album?
so whenever I played acoustic on this over this weekend, and the show on Saturday night was fantastic. We were back in the zone and we were really playing well together, and the place was packed and everybody was singing along, and it was like a really good vibe. Um, so, and I thought to myself, like, after, I was like, this is what it's all about. Um, so that's a great question. So I can most of the songs carry acoustically, and I don't like to perform solo, not because I'm scared. I just don't think it does justice to the songs, because all my songs have harmony vocals in them, and I think every single song I have has a guitar solo in it, and you can't play a guitar solo by yourself, right?
Right.
I mean, I've seen people do
Or
like,
maybe on acoustic it might not work either if you just have
yeah,
like
but I
just
mean,
guitar.
but you have to have someone accompanying you. I mean, I've seen people do like the looper pedals, or they have like they're rolling tape. Um, but it's just kind of, I don't care who you are. It's kind of boring to see someone play by themselves for an extended period of time. It's really hard to make that exciting for an extended. I don't care who you are. The only person I saw that really carried that for like hour and a half was Chris Cornell.
Oh yeah.
And he
His
was,
voice though is insane. So it was like,
yes.
yeah.
So I'm talking like one dude I've ever seen carry an hour and a half show by himself where you were like mesmerized. So that's really, really tough in that department. Plus, it's just more fun to play with somebody. So to answer your question, I would do an acoustic tour if it was like me and John.
Hmm.
I wouldn't do an acoustic tour just myself. It sounds lonely, and I don't think it's a good representation of what I'm trying to do. Because again, I can't play guitar solos, or so that's half of the fun of, what I do is like, I think people enjoy seeing me
Yeah. Rip some
play,
solos.
play.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard this before until like recently. Then I've had a few artists on that have talked about this, and it's kind of off topic, but I'm just curious if you ever had this or recall this in your time, is artists paying to be on tour with a bigger band.
Yeah.
Is this something that's always been around, or is that
Yes. Yeah.
interesting? I just had never heard that. Like a band being like, okay, yeah, you can jump on the tour. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars because they know that they're the draw, obviously, and you're getting in front of people.
Yeah.
Um,
So I know in BB, I know that we paid Godsmack to open up for them. It was a lot of money too, to be honest with you. And it was worth it.
oh, I bet that's what I was wondering. Yeah, I mean, I'm
So
sure it was a lot of money to, yeah, because what you're in a stadium at that point,
so that
right?
yeah, that was all arenas. and Godsmack, I think it's fair to say at that time they sold out every arena. I forget if we were like right before them or like us, a band. I forget, that was a long time ago. That was like 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
um,
But that was the thing that you guys had done. You
right. So
come together and make a decision like, okay, like we're gonna get in front of this many people.
I don't think, in that it wasn't any kind of big sit down talk. I think our manager just did it. Like, or
Oh.
yeah, it wasn't like
Yeah, somebody at the time.
somebody.
It wasn't like you guys were an independent band. It was you had obviously been around and signed and
Yes.
doing
So we
shit
were
at that point.
right. So we were signed to a major label, and it was like sort of somebody else was paying for it. I mean, I'm sure we paid for it ultimately,
Right.
but at the time, someone else was fronting the money. It wasn't like we all got together in a room and we're like, "Oh, let's have our parents
Pull our money together. Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't. I mean, it really wasn't. Not to sound like a dick, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if you were like an independent DIY band and you were looking to jump on a tour, I'm sure it's a lot bigger of a deal to get the cash together to do that. It is pretty. I have heard a lot of people talking about this more recently, and I didn't know that people didn't know that went on.
Yeah. I had no idea. I mean,
And then I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just, it makes a lot of sense. Now, I personally wouldn't pay to be on a buy-on, like in a buy-on of a small ass tour where, it's not going to be that packed. I personally wouldn't do that. But would I pay to open up for Godsmack? Yes, I would.
Right.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's like illegal or anything. I mean, there's modern day, not exactly payola, but that was a big issue back in the day of like that was illegal somehow.
Well, that was with the radio station.
But I don't even know why that was illegal. Who cares?
That's a great point. Yeah, but I think it was something along the line. There's a radio station in San Diego that got shut down because of it. It was a hip hop station, and then they flipped to an alternative station after the fact. But it was the night DJs and stuff were getting paid, and music directors were getting paid to play like records from other like random artists they would just take the money and put it on and
right, but.
But I guess in the grand scheme of things, that's all it is. And if you look at radio, even an independent station,
there's so many other ways that really happens without that actually happening. Like you know how many. So to everything that leads up to your band getting played on terrestrial radio is all an exchange of money and deals and stuff behind the scenes anyways. So when you get a record label, there's so much stuff going on there. And then there's promotional stuff, or there's kickbacks and like, hey, if you play our song, our band will come to your summer festival and we'll play
100%. Yeah, it's hey, I represent whatever, and
there's so many kickbacks and stuff going on behind the scenes. It's not just some like if someone at home thinks it's this organic scenario of a DJ really liked a song and he had to put it on the airwaves. That hasn't happened since like 1953. That's not the way that works at all. There's no such thing. Occasionally there'll be like a viral sensation these days, or like when I was growing up, it wasn't on the internet, but it certainly was a viral event, was like Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Right.
That was viral before it was viral. But again, to get Geffen Records, I'm sure made stuff happen behind the scenes to get it on MTV in the first place. But once it was on there, it took on a life of its own.
Sure.
But there's no, dude, I wish there was organic hits. It just doesn't work like that. Everything, and even now you can like sort of pay to get on Spotify playlists. You can sponsor ads on Instagram to get followers and this and that and the other thing. So everything's kind of bought and paid for. I think it's naive to think that your song got popular on its own. It doesn't happen. So there could be Stairway to Heaven could be on this album, but if I or somebody or a label doesn't put a lot of money behind it and hype it up and get it to the masses, no one's ever going to hear that Stairway to Heaven. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
No, it does 100%. I'm just, because I came from radio.
Yeah.
The closest thing I had a moment in my life and my career, and the only gold record I have is from the band The Struts.
They're great.
And with that song Could Have Been Me, and they weren't signed at the time. They had a manager who was managing a couple other people, and he knew my program director, who called me and said, "Hey, you play this song." We were an independent station, so we weren't owned by but we were a station that had been in San Diego for 40 years now.
What was the name of it?
91X. So my program director called me and he goes, "Hey, play this song, or tell me what you think. And I think you should play it." And I heard it. I was like, "Hell yeah, I'll play it." And I played it. And then I just kept playing it every night. He just let me play it. And then other stations, they look at your spin report and they're like, "Who the hell is this band, The Struts?"
Yeah.
And then we started adding it during the day, and then they got signed to Interscope, and then the song can sing too. But it was kind of a cool organic thing that I got to be a part of and be the first guy to play them in the States. And then, but that's the only time this ever happened when I was in the career.
So so you're saying that they weren't signed before you played that?
They weren't signed to Interscope. They were working on getting a deal, and the manager but their manager had ties, obviously, he was managing some big name talent. He knew, he found them and said, "This band's going to be huge." And he talked to our PD, and he told me to play the record, and they didn't have anything out. They had one out there. The album they had out was only in the UK, and so nothing. It was a song from that UK recording that they ended up re-recording and putting it out later. But it was kind of a cool little piece of history to be a part of at the time. But like now with the internet, that will never happen. And that was like 2014, which is probably the very last of that ever happening again. But
so right, there are exceptions like that to what I was saying.
But no, but 100%, I 100% agree with what you're saying, because that doesn't happen. It never happens.
Rare.
And I just thought I got a chance to like kind of be in that for a minute, and it was like, whoa. And like my program director at the time was the guy that he was on the radio in Detroit, and he discovered like Violent Femmes, and he was the guy that played what was that band called? I don't know. It was one single that was the single, and he flipped the record over and started playing the other side, and that became the hit, because he was just like kind of this guy that was a tastemaker dude and didn't really care. But that's dead now.
So there are, that's awesome. So there are exceptions to that rule, but it's rare. I guess a little bit with my own career, there was a guy in St. Louis who really liked the Breaking Benjamin song Polyamorous. And so now we were signed to a major label, but we weren't super popular yet. And it was presented to him as Hollywood Records, here's their new single. Now, he did go above and beyond and played it way more than he was like maybe supposed to. And really every time it was on, he hyped it up. So, and St. Louis is a big city, so it became a hit in that town before anywhere else. So maybe like your strut story, there was one guy in particular who, I don't know how that works, but maybe he played it more often than he was supposed to. I don't know.
Yeah, he probably played it a ton, and
Yeah.
then what happens is like other stations in the same
Yeah.
format will look at and be like, why is this station in St. Louis playing this Breaking Benjamin song like 12 times a day? This doesn't even make sense. And then they start playing it, right? They start
Yes.
testing it, and then if people
Right. It catches fire, so to speak. But yeah, so
That's a great. I know exactly what station you're talking about, and that PD is the one of the few left that will take chances like that.
yeah, so it's rare, but it does happen. But for you to be betting on that as an artist, that's a long shot.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
But then it comes back to like, why not pay to be on a tour if you know you're going to get exposure, right? It's like paying an influencer to talk about your product.
right. So full circle back to that question. I don't think I didn't know people didn't know about that, and I also don't. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just a business arrangement.
Right. Yeah. I had no idea. Somebody was telling me about that. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you pay to be on a tour with a big artist.
Yeah, yeah.
Their crowd, they know that it doesn't, if you're on the bill or they put some other artist as the opener, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, it's still going to be a full packed show for that band. So
Yeah, yeah.
very, very cool. Well, dude, I can't wait to hear the album. I hope you do some shows, at least come to Nashville, maybe do one.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I don't know what the clubs are down there. What's like the rock club? I know all the country ones are famous for country, but
Well, Basement East,
East.
there's there's Brooklyn Bowl, which is
Gotcha.
about 1,000 people or so,
Oh
1,100.
wow.
I don't know. Yeah. But Basement East, those are a couple hundred cab,
Nice.
500
Yeah,
cab.
that'd be good. Yeah, if you know any rock bands down there that could come open up for it, that'd be.
I know a ton of rock bands.
Yeah. We'll talk. Email me or something after we get off.
100%. Yeah, because I want to see you and I want to see the show.
I'd be very, very interested in coming down and opening up for somebody or something of that. Some scenario like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be killer. Well, I appreciate your time, Aaron. Thank you, man, so much again for doing this again.
Yeah, I'll send you the new album when we get off here. So
Love it. I have one more question. I asked you this the last 2 times. I'm going to ask you
Good.
if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah.
Quit.
No, I mean, I was going on rants about all this negative stuff. So there is a lot more control over stuff that you do, and you can kind of, with technology, it's way cheaper. You can kind of self-produce your own music in your basement, and you can get pretty good results. And you can self-promote and do things like that, which you couldn't do way back in the day. If you're looking to make any money, it's tough, dude. There's no back end on your music. There's, everything's streamed for free, and shows. It's tough in that regard. So you got to do it for the most pure of reasons. You have to really be passionate about music and really have some sort of artistic vision that you're trying to get across, and have some sort of like love of the game. Unless it's some sort of viral sensation or you're like, you win. I don't even know. I don't know if American Idol's as popular as it used to be, but like if you won that or something, but it's tough. Then and the marketplace is kind of flooded with a million different things, so it's hard for the consumer to know what's what. Um, but it's tough. I think in some regards, like I was saying, it's easier than it used to be. It you used to have to go to a big expensive studio, so and instruments used to cost a lot more than they used to, and things of that nature have changed to make it easier to do DIY stuff. But again, the marketplace is flooded, and it's like, we're in this like scrolling culture where it's like, oh shit, he put out a new record, and then you just scroll down and the next thing is like, my dog died, and then you scroll down and it's like Donald Trump, and you scroll down and it's like, it's just, you're just combined, your life's projects are just combined in with scrolling to the next thing, and it just kind of becomes everything's these short clips of shit, like like I made a video for that Tom Petty song I just put out, and the short, it was an interesting experiment to see. I put out a little short clip of the video, and that was viewed and more successful than the actual video. And so I'm like, so we're living in that culture where it's just you're just part of everything else that everybody else is putting out, and it's just kind of, it's more of you're a blip on the radar. But it's just the world we live in. So I think it's harder in that regard to really punch through and really connect with people, because there's just a million other things you're scrolling by, and I don't know. Hopefully all this political shit calms down at some point, because it's just been like, what's it been, like 8-9 years of just
Yeah.
crazy, like, when we were kids, it was just like, Ronald Reagan was president, and it seemed fine. No one worried about
it was it, right?
then Bill Clinton was president, and there was a little bit of like some stuff that people got jazzed up about, but it wasn't overwhelming, and it didn't like have this sense of like all is unwell. Back in the day, it was just like the president was who he was, and it was nothing crazy. It was just kind of people went about their business, and it wasn't overwhelming, and you weren't bombarded with all this stuff and people and all this divisiveness and stuff. So, there's that. I don't know. Again, I think that just comes back to the music thing, where it's like you're just kind of feathered in with everything else that's going on in the world, or you're feathered in with everybody else's kind of posts about random stuff. And so I think in that regard, it's harder to punch through unless you're kind of a bigger artist or grandfathered in from back in the day, where your brand name means something to somebody, So
Bringing it backwards.